the biggest secret in your love story may soon be revealed. My beloved child, listen carefully. Don't skip this message. Stay till the end, because this story begins with a question that countless hearts have asked in the silence of the night. Is there something I still don't understand about the journey I've been walking? Sometimes the greatest mysteries are not hidden in distant places. They are quietly waiting inside the human heart, beneath old fears, unanswered questions, and memories that refuse to fade. This is not a prediction about your future or a claim about your personal life. It is a story about how truth, faith, forgiveness, and courage can reveal what has been hidden beneath the surface for far longer than anyone realized. What happened next changed everything. Not because the world suddenly became different, but because one heart finally became ready to see with new eyes. Your special person had spent months convincing themselves that they understood everything about the past. They believed they knew why certain conversations ended the way they did. They believed they understood every silence, every misunderstanding, and every difficult decision that created distance between two people who once cared deeply for one another. Yet deep inside, a quiet feeling remained. Something still did not make sense. Every time they thought they had reached the end of the story, another unanswered question appeared. Every time they tried to close that chapter completely, another memory quietly returned, asking them to look again with greater wisdom. Listen carefully, because one peaceful evening became the beginning of a completely different journey. After another day filled with responsibilities, they sat alone with an open Bible and a heart that felt unusually still. Instead of asking God to immediately solve every problem, they whispered a different prayer. Lord, if there is something I have misunderstood, give me the humility to recognize it. If there is truth I have avoided because of fear, help me face it with courage. If my heart needs healing before it can truly love, begin that work within me today. Those simple words marked the beginning of a transformation they never expected. As the days continued, they found themselves remembering moments they had forgotten for years. Not because they wanted to remain trapped in the past, but because they were finally able to see those memories from a different perspective. They noticed acts of kindness they had once overlooked. They remembered conversations where another person's fears had spoken louder than their intentions. They realized that pain often causes people to build walls that look like rejection, when in reality they are simply trying to protect wounds no one else can see. That discovery softened their heart. Compassion slowly replaced judgment, and understanding quietly took the place of assumptions. Stay till the end, because this changes everything. During one quiet morning walk, they noticed sunlight breaking through thick clouds after a long night of rain. The sky had not changed instantly. The clouds had simply begun making room for the light that had been there all along. Looking at that beautiful scene, they realized the same thing had been happening within their own heart. God's truth had always been present, but fear, pride, disappointment, and unanswered questions had hidden it from view. Now those heavy clouds were slowly moving away, allowing hope to shine where discouragement had once lived. My beloved child, there are moments when the greatest secret is not something another person has hidden from us. Sometimes the greatest secret is the one fear has hidden within our own heart. Fear convinces people they are unworthy of love. Fear tells them forgiveness is impossible. Fear whispers that yesterday's mistakes will always define tomorrow. Yet God's truth speaks differently. His truth reminds every willing heart that healing is possible, growth is possible, wisdom is possible, and new beginnings remain possible for those who continue walking faithfully with Him. Listen carefully, because another remarkable lesson begins unfolding. Your special person has started recognizing how often assumptions create stories that are never actually true. A delayed response becomes imagined rejection. A difficult season becomes evidence that hope has disappeared. Silence becomes interpreted as indifference. Yet when they slowed down and invited God to guide their thoughts, they discovered that many of those fears had been built upon incomplete understanding rather than reality. That realization did not erase every question overnight, but it gave them the courage to seek truth instead of simply accepting fear's version of the story. As another week passed, they became less interested in proving themselves right and more interested in becoming someone who reflects Christ's character. They listened more carefully. They spoke more gently. They forgave more quickly. They stopped keeping score of every disappointment and began thanking God for every opportunity to grow in humility. Those quiet changes transformed the atmosphere around them. Relationships became healthier because they were learning that love grows strongest where honesty, patience, and grace are given room to flourish. Don't skip this part, because what happened next became the turning point they had been praying for without even knowing it. One evening, while reading the story of Joseph in Genesis, they realized that years of misunderstanding, hardship, and waiting had never prevented God from accomplishing His purpose. Joseph could have allowed bitterness to define his future, yet he chose forgiveness instead. That story spoke deeply to their heart. They understood that although people may not always understand every chapter while living through it, God can still bring wisdom, healing, and purpose from seasons that once seemed filled only with confusion. Their perspective changed forever. My beloved child, another beautiful truth now begins shining through every part of their journey. They no longer measure love by constant emotion or perfect circumstances. They measure it by faithfulness, honesty, sacrifice, compassion, and the willingness to continue growing. They understand that lasting relationships are not built by flawless people. They are built by imperfect people who choose humility, forgiveness, and truth again and again. That understanding has become the greatest treasure they carry into every new season of life. Stay till the end, because the greatest revelation was never simply discovering hidden answers about the past. The greatest revelation was discovering who God was shaping them to become. Every difficult conversation taught patience. Every disappointment taught endurance. Every unanswered prayer taught trust. Every season of waiting taught dependence upon God's wisdom rather than human understanding. Looking back, they realized that while they had been searching for a hidden secret about their love story, God had quietly been revealing something even greater, the transformation of their own heart. As another sunrise fills the horizon, your special person steps into a new day with peace they never thought possible. Not because every mystery has been solved, but because they have learned to trust God's faithfulness even when every answer has not yet arrived. They no longer fear the future or remain trapped by the past. They simply choose to walk faithfully today, believing that truth arrives in its proper time, healing grows through daily surrender, and God's grace continues working in ways that often remain invisible until the perfect moment. So let this story leave you with one final reminder, my beloved child. The greatest secret in any love story is not hidden in dramatic moments or unexpected revelations. It is found in the quiet work God does within hearts that choose humility over pride, forgiveness over resentment, faith over fear, and hope over despair. When a heart is transformed by His love, every chapter, whether joyful or difficult, becomes part of a story marked by wisdom, compassion, and lasting peace. And that is a story worth carrying into every tomorrow, one faithful step at a time. My beloved child, listen carefully, because this chapter begins at the exact moment when your special person finally understands that the greatest truths are often revealed slowly, not suddenly. Don't skip. Stay till the end, because what is about to unfold is not the discovery of someone else's hidden secret, it is the uncovering of a heart that has been changing one quiet day at a time. For so long they searched outside themselves for answers. They believed that if only one conversation happened, one mystery was solved, or one missing piece finally appeared, everything would make sense. But God was gently leading them toward a deeper understanding. Before any relationship could truly grow, their own heart first needed to become a place where truth, grace, and wisdom could live together. That quiet work had already begun, even though they did not recognize it at first. Night after night, they found themselves returning to the same prayer. It was no longer a prayer asking God to remove every difficulty. Instead, it became a prayer asking Him to reveal every part of their heart that still needed healing. Lord, remove anything within me that keeps me from loving the way You have called me to love. Remove every fear that speaks louder than faith. Remove every wound that keeps me from extending grace. Teach me to become the person You created me to be. Those words were spoken through quiet tears, yet they carried more hope than despair. Each prayer became another step away from fear and another step toward freedom. Listen carefully, because something beautiful began happening without anyone else noticing. The people around them saw the same familiar face, but heaven saw a completely renewed perspective. Their conversations became gentler. Their reactions became slower. Their heart became less concerned with winning arguments and more concerned with protecting peace. They discovered that maturity is not proven by always having the right answer. It is revealed through patience, humility, and the willingness to listen before speaking. Every ordinary day became another opportunity to practice those qualities until they slowly became part of who they were. Stay till the end, because what happened during one quiet afternoon remained in their heart forever. They were reading the story of David, reflecting on the years he spent waiting before becoming king. David had received a promise, yet he still walked through seasons filled with uncertainty, hardship, and questions. Your special person suddenly realized that waiting does not mean God has forgotten His children. Sometimes waiting becomes the place where character is strengthened, wisdom is refined, and trust grows deeper than circumstances. That truth settled into their soul like a calm river after a storm. From that day forward, they stopped viewing every delay as a disappointment and began seeing it as an opportunity to grow closer to God. My beloved child, another remarkable lesson quietly unfolded. They realized that fear often disguises itself as certainty. Fear convinces people they already know how every story will end. Fear encourages assumptions before understanding, distance before conversation, and judgment before compassion. Yet God's wisdom patiently invites people to slow down, seek truth, and allow love to be guided by humility instead of pride. As your special person embraced that wisdom, they noticed something extraordinary. The more they trusted God, the less they felt the need to control every outcome. Peace gradually replaced the constant pressure to have every answer. Listen carefully, because this changes everything. There came a morning when they looked into the mirror and realized they were no longer asking the same questions that once filled their thoughts. Instead of wondering whether they were enough, they quietly thanked God for His unfailing love. Instead of worrying about what they could not control, they focused on becoming faithful in what had already been entrusted to them. They understood that identity is not built upon another person's opinion. It is built upon the truth that every life has value because it is lovingly created by God. That understanding gave them a confidence that no circumstance could easily take away. As the weeks continued, they became more aware of the hidden struggles carried by people around them. The impatient stranger, the discouraged friend, the neighbor who rarely smiled, all of them might be carrying burdens invisible to everyone else. Rather than reacting quickly, they chose compassion. They offered encouragement where they once might have remained silent. They prayed for others without expecting recognition. Every quiet act of kindness became another reflection of God's love. They realized that some of the greatest miracles happen through ordinary people who simply choose to love faithfully each day. Don't skip this part, because the next revelation became the most meaningful of all. Your special person finally understood that the biggest secret in their story was never hidden inside another person's heart. The greatest secret was hidden inside their own journey all along. God had been transforming them through every disappointment, every delay, every unanswered question, and every quiet prayer. The very chapters they once wished to erase had become the chapters that taught them compassion. The tears they once wanted to forget had become reminders of God's comfort. The waiting they once resisted had become the place where faith took its deepest roots. Now, as another sunrise fills the horizon, they no longer walk with fear leading the way. They walk with quiet confidence, trusting that every faithful step matters. They understand that genuine love begins with a heart surrendered to God, a spirit willing to forgive, and a life committed to truth. Whatever tomorrow may bring, they know they do not face it alone. God's grace continues to strengthen them. His wisdom continues to guide them. His peace continues to guard their heart. And the beautiful story He is writing is far greater than any secret they once believed they needed to uncover. The greatest revelation has already begun, the steady transformation of a heart learning to reflect His light, one faithful day at a time. My beloved child, listen carefully, because this chapter begins at the moment when everything appears quiet, yet heaven is still shaping the story in ways no human eyes can fully see. Don't skip. Stay till the end, because the greatest revelations often arrive after seasons that seem ordinary. Your special person has reached a place where they are no longer searching desperately for hidden answers. Instead, they are learning to walk faithfully one day at a time. What once felt like endless waiting has become sacred preparation. Every sunrise reminds them that God is still writing chapters they cannot yet read, and every sunset reminds them that His work continues even while they rest. That quiet confidence has become stronger than the fear that once followed them everywhere they went. Late one evening, while the world outside slowly settled into silence, they opened an old journal they had not read in years. Page after page carried forgotten prayers, moments of uncertainty, hopes they once held tightly, and questions they believed would never be answered. As they continued reading, something remarkable happened. They realized that many of the fears written on those pages had never come to pass. Many of the worries that once seemed overwhelming had quietly disappeared with time. Yet through every page, one thing remained constant. God had faithfully carried them through every season, even when they could not recognize His hand at the time. Tears filled their eyes, not from sadness, but from gratitude. They finally understood that God's faithfulness had been present in every chapter, even the ones they once wished had never happened. Listen carefully, because another beautiful lesson is unfolding. Your special person has discovered that true healing is rarely dramatic. It often happens in quiet moments that almost go unnoticed. It happens every time they choose forgiveness instead of resentment. It happens when they respond with kindness after being misunderstood. It happens when they refuse to allow disappointment to harden their heart. Little by little, those ordinary choices have become extraordinary evidence of God's transforming grace. The wounds that once defined them no longer control them. The fears that once silenced them no longer determine their future. God has been healing places inside their heart that no one else could even see. Stay till the end, because what happened during one peaceful Sunday morning changed their understanding forever. As they listened to a message about God's steadfast love, one simple sentence settled deeply into their soul: God is more interested in who you are becoming than in how quickly you arrive. Those words echoed through their heart long after the service ended. They realized they had spent so much time measuring progress by visible results that they had overlooked the quiet miracle of spiritual growth. Every prayer had strengthened their faith. Every trial had increased their endurance. Every act of surrender had made them more compassionate. The greatest miracle had not been found in changing circumstances but in the gradual renewal of their heart. My beloved child, there are still moments when old memories return unexpectedly. Sometimes they remember conversations they wish had gone differently. Sometimes they think about opportunities they believed they had lost forever. Yet those memories no longer fill them with regret. Instead, they remind them how gracious God has been throughout every season. They understand now that while the past cannot be rewritten, it can become a teacher rather than a prison. Every mistake has become a lesson. Every disappointment has become wisdom. Every difficult chapter has become part of a testimony that encourages others to keep trusting God even when the road feels uncertain. Listen carefully, because this changes everything. They have stopped asking God to explain every mystery before taking the next step. Instead, they simply ask for enough grace to remain faithful today. They know tomorrow will bring its own opportunities, its own challenges, and its own blessings. But today's calling is clear: love faithfully, speak truth with kindness, forgive generously, serve humbly, and trust God completely. That simple way of living has brought a peace they never thought possible. It has freed them from constantly chasing certainty and invited them into the joy of daily dependence upon God. As another season quietly begins, your special person notices that the relationships around them are changing, not because everyone has suddenly become perfect, but because they themselves have changed. They listen with greater patience. They respond with greater wisdom. They extend grace more freely. They no longer feel the need to defend every misunderstanding or prove every point. Instead, they seek peace wherever possible. They have learned that a gentle answer often accomplishes more than an argument ever could. This new way of living has become a reflection of the work God continues doing within them. Don't skip this final moment, because another beautiful truth is waiting just beyond today's page. Your special person now understands that the biggest secret in any love story is not hidden in dramatic revelations or unexpected discoveries. The greatest secret is that lasting love begins with a heart transformed by God's grace. When fear gives way to faith, when pride gives way to humility, when resentment gives way to forgiveness, and when uncertainty gives way to trust, everything else begins to change as well. They no longer walk through life searching for hidden signs around every corner. They walk with quiet assurance, believing that God is faithful in every season, wise in every decision, and present in every step. And as the next chapter slowly unfolds, they move forward with hope instead of fear, gratitude instead of regret, and confidence instead of doubt, knowing that the author of their story is still writing, and his ending is always marked by truth, mercy, wisdom, and enduring love. My beloved child, listen carefully, because this chapter begins on a day that seems completely ordinary, yet something important is quietly changing within your special person's heart. Don't skip. Stay till the end, because some of life's greatest turning points never announce themselves with loud voices or dramatic moments. They begin with a single decision to trust God a little more than yesterday. Your special person has reached that place. They are no longer chasing every unanswered question or allowing every uncertainty to steal their peace. Instead, they have begun embracing each day as an opportunity to grow closer to God. What once felt like endless waiting now feels like sacred preparation. Every prayer is shaping their character. Every challenge is strengthening their faith. Every quiet moment is becoming another reminder that God is still working, even when His work cannot yet be seen. As another evening settles over the world, they sit quietly with a grateful heart. The silence no longer feels empty. It feels peaceful. They remember the nights when they could barely sleep because their mind was overwhelmed with questions about the future. They remember wondering whether life would ever make sense again. Yet now, looking back, they realize those difficult nights became the very place where they learned to depend completely upon God. Every tear became a prayer. Every fear became an invitation to trust. Every lonely moment became an opportunity to discover that God's presence is often felt most deeply when everything else becomes quiet. Listen carefully, because another beautiful lesson is unfolding. Your special person has started paying attention to the small blessings they once overlooked. The warmth of the morning sun. The sound of birds welcoming a new day. A kind word from someone they least expected. A verse of scripture arriving exactly when encouragement was needed. They understand now that God's goodness is not revealed only through extraordinary miracles. His faithfulness is woven into ordinary moments that quietly remind us we are loved, guided, and never forgotten. Their heart has become more thankful because they have learned to recognize blessings that were always there. Stay till the end, because what happened during one quiet afternoon remained with them forever. While watching a craftsman carefully restoring an old piece of wood, they noticed something remarkable. The craftsman did not throw it away because it carried scars. Instead, he patiently sanded every rough place, repaired every crack, and slowly revealed beauty that had been hidden beneath years of wear. Immediately they thought about their own life. They realized God had never looked at their broken places with disappointment. He had always looked at them with compassion. Every scar became a place where His grace could shine more clearly. Every weakness became another opportunity for His strength to be displayed. That understanding filled them with hope unlike anything they had experienced before. My beloved child, there are still days when memories return unexpectedly. Certain places remind them of old conversations. Familiar songs awaken emotions they thought had disappeared. Yet those memories no longer bring the same sadness they once carried. God has transformed them into reminders of His faithfulness. They now see how much they have grown. They recognize that the person they were then could not have understood what the person they are today now sees so clearly. Wisdom has replaced confusion. Peace has replaced panic. Faith has replaced fear. The journey itself has become part of the miracle. Listen carefully, because this changes everything. Your special person has stopped believing that love is proven by dramatic gestures alone. They have discovered that genuine love is revealed through consistency, honesty, patience, forgiveness, and quiet faithfulness. It is found in choosing kindness when emotions are difficult. It is found in speaking truth with gentleness. It is found in praying for wisdom before making important decisions. It is found in remaining humble even when pride offers an easier path. These daily choices have become the strongest foundation they have ever built, and they know that anything built upon God's truth will endure far longer than anything built upon fear. As another chapter begins, they become increasingly aware that God has been preparing them not only to receive love but also to reflect His love toward others. Every difficult season has increased their compassion. Every unanswered prayer has deepened their dependence upon Him. Every disappointment has taught them to extend grace more freely. They no longer ask only, "Lord, bless my plans." They now pray, "Lord, let my life become a blessing wherever you send me." That prayer has quietly transformed the purpose of every day they live. Don't skip this final moment, because another revelation is waiting just beyond today's page. Your special person finally understands that the greatest secret in their story was never hidden in another person's words, actions, or decisions. The greatest secret was God's faithful work inside their own heart all along. While they were searching for answers outside themselves, God was patiently shaping them into someone wiser, gentler, stronger, and more compassionate. He was teaching them that lasting peace does not depend upon knowing every detail of tomorrow. It grows through daily trust, faithful obedience, sincere prayer, and unwavering hope. Now they walk forward with calm confidence, knowing that whatever lies ahead, God's love remains constant, His wisdom never fails, His grace is always sufficient, and His plans are always guided by perfect goodness. And as the pages of this story continue to turn, they do so with a heart no longer searching for hidden secrets, but rejoicing in the greatest truth of all. That every step taken with God becomes part of a story filled with purpose, redemption, and everlasting hope. My beloved child, listen carefully, because this chapter begins at the edge of a brand new season. Don't skip. Stay till the end, because some of the most meaningful chapters in life begin quietly, long before anyone notices that anything has changed. Your special person has finally reached a place where they understand that God's work is often invisible before it becomes visible. Like a seed hidden beneath the soil, growth is taking place even when no one can see it. They no longer measure progress by dramatic moments or instant answers. Instead, they have learned to recognize the quiet victories, the moments when fear no longer controls their thoughts, when forgiveness comes more naturally than resentment, and when hope rises even in the middle of uncertainty. Those unseen victories have become the strongest evidence that God has been faithfully working within them all along. As another dawn breaks across the horizon, they open their Bible before the day begins. The room is still, the world outside has not yet awakened, and for a few precious moments there is nothing demanding their attention except God's presence. They read slowly, allowing each word to settle into their heart rather than rushing through the page. They realize that Scripture is no longer simply something they read. It has become the foundation beneath every decision they make. Whenever confusion appears, God's truth becomes their direction. Whenever discouragement tries to enter their mind, His promises remind them that no season lasts forever. Every morning spent in His presence becomes another stone strengthening the foundation of their faith. Listen carefully, because another remarkable lesson is unfolding. Your special person has begun recognizing how often God answers prayers by changing the person who is praying before changing the circumstances surrounding them. At first they asked Him to remove every obstacle. Now they thank Him for giving them wisdom to walk through those obstacles with courage. They once prayed for every difficult situation to disappear immediately. Now they pray for the strength to honor God regardless of the situation they face. This change did not happen overnight. It came through countless ordinary days filled with quiet obedience, faithful prayer, and steady trust. Looking back, they realized those ordinary days became the very place where extraordinary character was formed. Stay till the end, because what happened during one conversation became impossible to forget. A wise mentor gently said, "Never allow temporary emotions to make permanent decisions." Those simple words echoed in their heart for weeks. They realized how many people allow fear, anger, disappointment, or loneliness to speak louder than wisdom. From that day forward, your special person made a commitment. Whenever emotions became overwhelming, they would first pray, reflect, and seek God's guidance before taking the next step. That single habit changed countless decisions. It protected relationships, strengthened their peace, and reminded them that God's wisdom is always more dependable than passing emotions. My beloved child, another beautiful truth is slowly becoming clear. They have discovered that genuine love is not measured by constant excitement or dramatic declarations. It is revealed through daily faithfulness. It is seen in the willingness to apologize sincerely, to forgive generously, to encourage consistently, and to remain kind even when life becomes difficult. They understand that love grows strongest where humility and truth walk together. Every day they choose these qualities, another part of God's character is reflected through their life. Listen carefully, because this changes everything. One afternoon they noticed an elderly couple walking slowly through a park, smiling as they supported one another with every careful step. There were no grand speeches, no dramatic displays, and no audience watching. Yet in that simple moment they witnessed something profound. Years of patience, sacrifice, forgiveness, and unwavering commitment had created a quiet strength that could not be manufactured overnight. Your special person understood that lasting relationships are built one faithful day at a time. The greatest stories are not written through perfection but through perseverance, grace, and a willingness to continue choosing love when it matters most. As the weeks quietly pass, they begin noticing another change within themselves. The need to compare their journey with someone else's has almost completely disappeared. They no longer worry about whether their life looks like another person's story. Instead, they thank God for the unique path He has prepared for them. They understand that every individual grows at a different pace, learns different lessons, and carries different responsibilities. Comparison once stole their joy, but gratitude has now restored it. Every new day becomes another opportunity to celebrate God's faithfulness rather than measuring themselves against the lives of others. Don't skip this final moment, because another powerful chapter is waiting just beyond today's page. Your special person now understands that the greatest secret in any meaningful love story is not hidden in mysterious signs or unexpected revelations. It is found in the quiet transformation of a heart that chooses to trust God above fear, truth above assumption, forgiveness above resentment, and hope above despair. They no longer fear what tomorrow may bring because they have experienced God's faithfulness yesterday and His grace today. That confidence gives them courage to step into every new sunrise with peace rather than panic, with gratitude rather than regret, and with faith rather than doubt. As they continue walking forward, they know the author of their story is still writing every chapter with perfect wisdom. And even though they cannot yet read every page ahead, they rest confidently in the knowledge that every step taken with God carries purpose, every season holds an opportunity for growth, and every faithful choice becomes part of a testimony that will one day inspire hope in hearts searching for light. Their journey is far from over. In many ways, it is only just beginning, and the most meaningful chapters are still waiting to be written by the one whose love never fails and whose promises remain true forever. My beloved child, listen carefully, because this is the final chapter of this journey. Don't skip. Stay till the end, because every lesson, every moment of waiting, every unanswered question, and every quiet prayer has been leading to this beautiful conclusion. The greatest secret in your love story was never hidden in another person's heart alone. It was hidden in the incredible work God has been doing within both hearts through every season of joy, every moment of uncertainty, every disappointment, and every act of faith. What once appeared to be random chapters were actually pieces of a much greater story, a story not written by fear, but by the steady and faithful hand of God. As your special person looks back on the path they have traveled, they no longer see only mistakes or missed opportunities. They see the mercy that carried them through nights when hope seemed distant. They see the wisdom gained from seasons they once wanted to escape. They see the strength that quietly grew while no one else noticed. Most importantly, they see that God never abandoned them, not during the waiting, not during the tears, and not during the moments when they questioned everything. Even when they could not see His plan, He was gently shaping their character, preparing them to become someone who could love with greater patience, humility, and compassion. Listen carefully, because this changes everything. They have finally realized that love is not sustained by perfect circumstances. It is strengthened by truth, honesty, forgiveness, and the courage to grow through every challenge. They no longer believe that happiness depends on controlling every outcome. Instead, they have learned to place each day into God's hands, trusting that His wisdom reaches far beyond anything human understanding could ever achieve. That trust has brought a peace the world cannot easily explain, a peace that remains steady even when life feels uncertain. There comes one quiet morning when they stand outside as the first light of dawn touches the horizon. The air is still. Birds begin singing their first songs of the day. The gentle breeze reminds them that every sunrise is another gift, another beginning, another opportunity to walk faithfully with God. In that peaceful moment, they whisper a simple prayer: Lord, thank you for every lesson, every blessing, every trial, and every victory. Continue shaping my heart so that my life reflects your love wherever I go. That prayer becomes more precious than any answer they once believed they needed. My beloved child, if this story has touched your heart, let it remind you of something eternal. Every season has purpose. Waiting can produce wisdom. Trials can strengthen faith. Forgiveness can heal wounds that once seemed impossible to overcome. Kindness has the power to change lives in ways we may never fully see. And God's love remains constant through every chapter, whether the road ahead feels clear or uncertain. The greatest miracles are often the quiet transformations that happen within a willing heart. Stay till the end, because this is the message your special person now carries into every new day. They no longer measure life by what they have lost, but by how faithfully God has carried them. They no longer define themselves by yesterday's failures, but by the grace that gives them a new beginning every morning. They no longer fear tomorrow, because they know the same God who guided them yesterday will remain faithful in every step ahead. Their confidence no longer rests in circumstances, it rests in the unchanging character of God. As another chapter begins, they make a promise before the Lord. They will continue choosing truth over deception, humility over pride, patience over anger, compassion over judgment, and faith over fear. They know these choices will not always be easy, but they also know that every faithful step draws them closer to the person God created them to become. That quiet commitment becomes the strongest foundation they have ever built, a foundation that no storm can easily shake because it rests upon God's everlasting love. And now, my beloved child, this story reaches its final page. Not with fear, but with hope. Not with uncertainty, but with trust. Not with an ending that closes every door, but with a new beginning that invites you to keep walking faithfully with God. Whatever tomorrow holds, remember this: you are never beyond His care, never beyond His mercy, and never beyond His ability to bring purpose from every season of life. Keep praying even when answers seem delayed. Keep loving even when kindness is difficult. Keep trusting even when the road ahead is unclear. Every faithful step matters, and every act of grace reflects the heart of Christ. As the sun rises on a brand new day, your special person walks forward with a peaceful spirit and renewed hope. The questions that once filled their heart no longer control them. Fear has given way to faith. Bitterness has been replaced by forgiveness. Restlessness has become quiet confidence. They know that while they cannot predict every chapter still to come, they can trust the author who holds the entire story in his hands. And so they move forward with gratitude, courage, and unwavering hope, believing that God's love will continue to guide every step, strengthen every weakness, comfort every sorrow, and fill every new beginning with His perfect peace. This is not simply the end of a story. It is the beginning of a life rooted in faith, overflowing with hope, and shining with a love that reflects God's light wherever it goes. May His grace be with you today, tomorrow, and always. Amen.